Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. Really appreciate your time. We're very excited to be here to talk with you today, and we'll do a couple quick introductions to get started. My name is Philip Jerislow. I'm the National Director for Ross University School of Vet Medicine. And just to let you know, today we are obviously on YouTube speaking to you. So we very much encourage you to ask lots of questions throughout our conversation today so you can talk to our ambassadors and really get a great understanding of Ross, the program that we offer, the curriculum, all those kinds of things. I also did want to mention there is a URL at the top of your screen if you're tuning in today. Please make sure to click on that, and that's how you can get some more information about our DVM program that we have at Ross. So just to get things kicked off, let's go ahead and maybe pass it over to Andrea. Maybe you can go ahead and introduce yourself and tell them a little about yourself.
Yeah, thanks. Hi, my name's Andrea Rodriguez. I'm a seventh semester student and I am from the California Bay Area. I did about 5 years of clinical work before coming to Ross, and I had an exciting start starting out in vet prep, and it's been a journey to seventh, but it's great to be here.
Fantastic. Thank you. And Will, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. Hey everyone, my name is Will. I'm a fourth semester student. I'm also from California, but Southern California. And I actually went to UC Davis, so I was also up north for a little bit too. And I also worked in a clinic for 5 years as well before I came to Ross. So I didn't do vet prep. I started as a first semester, like a normal first semester, but it's going smooth so far.
Good. Awesome. Well, just to give everyone, in case you're not too familiar with our program, I just want to do a quick introduction about Ross and what we have to offer at the program. So Ross University School of Vet Medicine is based on the island of St. Kitts, which is in the Caribbean. So students spend 28 months doing their basic sciences on campus, and then they come back to the US for 1 year for clinical rotations. And once a student graduates, they're actually eligible to practice in all 50 states without any restrictions. So the reason that is possible is because we have what we call an AVMA accreditation, which is the same accreditation that state schools have. And it means there's no additional board exams or foreign tests you'd have to take. So it's a very important factor to have that accreditation. We've had it for a long time. We're very, very proud of that accreditation that we have. So that's just kind of a quick overview of the program. But I think as we talk to our ambassadors, we're really going to kind of learn a lot more about what we have to offer and the experiences they've had. So Will, maybe you can start us off by talking about, what made you want to become a DVM? Why did you want to pursue that path?
Well, initially, since I actually grew up in Taiwan, I was born there, and where I was from, there's not many doctors to begin with, and there's not much money around for any healthcare to begin with, especially for animals. And my grandpa owned a bunch of chickens and dogs, so they don't get any treatment usually for anything. So I thought I should be the one to provide them the help, hands-on help as a doctor myself, and then more than that, I can help out the neighbors' animals and everything. So it started from there. And when I came to the States, it said the same thing. I'll pick up dogs on the streets, even though my parents aren't very happy with that. But I would always be helping animals all the time. So that's how it started, is back home, back in Taiwan.
Wow, so really young age. What age would you say you were at when you kind of started even considering it?
Probably 5, 6 years old, when I could start remembering stuff, I guess.
Yeah. It's funny. I've worked in admissions for a long time, and I think the average age for the student thinking they want to become a DVM is generally about 5 or 6 years old. So you fall right into that category. So
Yeah.
that's awesome. Andrea, how about you? What led to your path to a DVM?
I feel like Will's and my stories are a little like parallels. I didn't grow up outside of the United States, but since the time I was about 2 years old, I was going back to Peru, where my family is originally from. And I just immediately noticed a huge difference in how the animals were taken care of there, and how there's like a lot of strays roaming about. And, people didn't really seem to care about them or try to help them. And my family, they're huge animal lovers. And so they inspire that in me to, look after them and take care of them and like feel compassion for them. So from a very young age, I definitely remember having that feeling like I want to be the one to take care of them.
It's awesome. Yeah, that's fantastic. And I guess I have a couple of sort of a two-part question, but for both of you, maybe Andrea, we'll start with you. Why Ross Vet? What made you look into Ross University as an option?
Yeah, great question. So I had 5 years of clinical experience, like I mentioned, and throughout that time, I worked in, very different locations, and I got to know veterinarians from different backgrounds and went to all kinds of different schools. And one of my favorite veterinarians was a Ross graduate, and I hadn't heard of Ross at the time. I think it was maybe the second year that I was working, and she kind of told me about it, and she showed me some pictures here and there and talked about her experience a lot, and it interested me, so I decided to take a look at it, and I am happy to be here.
That's awesome. And just kind of as a background too, so we were founded in 1982, so we have nearly 6,000 alums currently practicing around the world. So chances are wherever you're tuning in from, there's a good opportunity that there's a Rossi somewhere local to you. So as you're getting that experience, obviously trying to work with the Rossi is great. You'll see the stems of the hands-on curriculum that we provide at the school that obviously translate to their work as a DVM in the future. So how about for you, Will? What was it about Ross Vet that really cured you to it?
Well, when I was looking it up, I look at all the schools really, but I found that Ross you can get done a bit faster because we do like 3.25 years to finish basically, compared to the regular 4 years for the rest of the other vet schools. So that was a big factor for me, and I also love the water. I, Taiwan's island, St. Kitts Island, so just like an environment is so important to me. I like to be in a comfortable environment, and being around ocean is such a big factor for me. So that's what really drove me here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned the 3 years and 4 months. And so the program, yeah, itself is 28 months on the island and then 1 year for clinical rotations with about a 2-week break in between each class. So it really allows students to, take a 2-week break to sort of refresh, recharge, and then go right back into the curriculum. And then, as Will mentioned, of course, you get to graduate sooner, which means you get to start practicing sooner. So it's a real benefit for students. But yeah, and kind of a secondary question to that. How was the overall application process for you? The interview process, what was that all like? Maybe Andrea, you could start.
Yeah, I actually found the process to be really easy. I don't know like anyone close who's gone through vet school or any type of graduate school, so I had to figure out the process on my own, and I found it really easy to work with. um like all the information's on the website, and also the communication. If you have questions about Ross, they have so many like contacts listed. And Philip, I actually remember reaching out to you a couple of times with some questions. So it was very easy to get a hold of somebody and get those questions answered too.
Awesome. Yeah, Will, anything you want to add to that about your application experience, interview
Yeah,
experience?
it was super easy for me too, and yeah, I only knew that one person who went to vet school beforehand, but she went to a different school. So, but it was really easy. I thought the interview would be like nerve wracking and anything, but I talked to Ruth, and she made it so just calm and easy to go about. So that was really nice. And I think Philip, you talked to me too beforehand, emailing me. So that was really nice to have people reach out to me beforehand as well.
Awesome. Yeah, in this world, we know that applying to vet school is a very daunting process. So the more support we can provide for students is what we really want to do. And for students that are looking to apply, we are in the VEMCAS application cycle. So you can apply through VEMCAS, which of course is open right now for the next cycle that's starting in the 2023 cycle. But then depending on when you are looking to apply or when you've graduated, we do accept applications directly through our website. And that's not ever a time that it closes. Just basically you can apply anytime throughout the year. So just for reference there. So I just want to remind everyone, please make sure and submit some questions if you have them. We want to take all these questions kind of live as they're coming in. So please feel free to post those for us, and we'll definitely ask our ambassadors those questions for you. So the next question I have is, let's see, we get a lot of questions in regards to studying in vet school. What are some good study tips, or how did you kind of adapt your study habits in vet school that you now have that has led to your success? Maybe, Will, we can start with you.
Yeah. So So when I got in, I talked to my vets. They all told me to kind of treat it like a job. You have to go through the school and come back and study, and make sure but at the same time keep it to a point I'm not overstudying, have a good harmony of what I'm doing as well. And then it's good to have a schedule planned out and try to study with someone. I try to study with people if I can, and I try to be like the teacher to teach it and explain it. Because I think if you can teach it, then you really know the material. So and it's always good to have someone to talk to too. So you're bouncing the material off each other. If someone notices a mistake, you can correct it and so on.
Yeah, absolutely. And how about you, Andrea? Anything you'd like to add to that, or any other things that you've done?
Yeah, for sure. So I definitely agree with what Will's saying about talking out loud with some classmates. That helps so much. But my approach in the beginning was a little different. I learned a lot about, the different types of learners there are, like audio learner, visual. So I think finding out what type of learner you are is a good start. At least for me personally, it was. And going from there, because also with the different classes, you'll find that I don't want to say you can't study the same way for every class, but I feel that you would want to make adjustments to how you approach each class, because anatomy is going to be a whole lot different than what you learn in like pharmacology. Just being aware that you should try and use different methods for different classes, and not to restrict yourself to just trying to like use flashcards forever, because that might not work for everything.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, because as you're retaining material, it's built on itself, so flashcards can only go so far. That's right. Yeah. Awesome. So another question is coming in from Marianne. She was asking about the GRE, if you both took it when you were applying to vet school.
Yeah, Marianne, I did it myself personally because I was applying to I think 7 schools, and I'm pretty sure most of them initially said they required it. I think I applied a couple of times. I think second time there's some school that didn't require it, but I did take it. I'm not sure how much it affected my application, to be honest. So there's that. I did take it though.
Okay. Andrea, how about you?
Yeah, same. I did take it. I actually took it a couple times because I wanted to see how much more I could improve. And also that break that I had working in the clinics, I figured, maybe I'd score higher the next time around for the next cycle. So I took it a couple times. And same as well, I think that some schools didn't require it, but I feel like for me, I thought it'd maybe give me a better chance.
Yeah, and it's a good question that was brought up, and thank you for answering that. For us, we take a very holistic approach when looking at students. It's not just based on your GPA, your clinical hours. We look at all factors, and the GRE plays into that. Sometimes a student might have a lower GPA, but does really well in the GRE, which can offset some of those things. Or maybe you don't have a lot of clinical hours. So the GRE is required moving forward, and that's not as a barrier. That's more of, we want to ensure that we can really give you and provide you that holistic approach, so that when the admissions committee looks at everything, they can take into account every aspect of your application. So, but yeah, glad to hear that the GRE was, beneficial for you to take, and that, it was important for you to take. So awesome. Well, let me look through some of these questions. We're getting a lot of them right now. So Bug wants to know, what did you do during your undergrad to prepare for vet school? And what aspects of your undergrad should we focus on to be competitive for vet school? So Andrea, do you maybe want to start off with that one?
Yeah, so I don't think I mentioned it before, but I did my undergrad at Kansas State University, and my major was animal science and industry with a pre-vet option. So my classes were definitely geared towards, going to vet school afterwards. That was always the plan for me. So I feel like the curriculum itself prepared me for what I was going to encounter here. Besides that, like I mentioned, the clinical work that I did was also to prepare me to come here. I didn't want to jump into vet school right away. Initially, I did, but then I wanted to have more hands-on experience before making that jump. So I changed my mind and started working before coming to Ross. I think those were just the two major factors for prepping anyway.
Okay. How about for you, Will?
Yeah, for undergrad, for myself, I also did pre-vet animal science at UC Davis, but I emphasis in beef cattle management, kind of, and there's not many large animal vet. That's my thinking. Maybe I'll make myself stand out more, focusing on not dog and cats. But I also try to apply right away out of undergrad. I didn't get in, so I just jumped into work as well in small animal. So I got a mixture of large animal and small animal. I try to make myself more well-rounded instead of so focused on one. So I think that's what may have helped me stand out a bit more. And during that, I also went and got a master's degree in public health to just try to boost my own resume as well.
Awesome. And I think that's good preparation as well. The curriculum itself is taught, and it's very broad, large, small, exotic animal medicine. So getting that preparation early, I think, really kind of prepares you for the curriculum that you face at Ross. So fantastic. Okay, so Kaylee wants to know if the students live on campus or if there are off-campus housing options. Andrea, do you want to kind of lead off with that one? And then Will, if you can add to that as well.
Sounds good. So there are options for students to live on campus. Usually that's reserved for like your first semester. So whether you're accepted into vet prep or you're accepted into first semester, you'll be offered on-campus housing, and you do have the option of denying that and just living off campus right away. It's easy to find a place to live. The school does provide there's like a housing office where they'll help you like look for Ross approved housing, so that like you're in a good area, you're with like where other students are, somewhere that's like familiar, close by, like just checks all the boxes. Yeah, is there anything else, Will, that I'm missing?
Yeah, I think just the website, the Ross housing website have like a website you can click on the different approved apartments. So and then it's super easy. You click it and you can email the landlord right away for any questions that you may have regarding the place. So that's really convenient. It makes it looking for housing off campus super easy.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, there's housing near campus so you can walk to and from school every day. There's some areas if you want to be closer to the beach or restaurants that's maybe 15 minutes away from campus. But again, it's all fully furnished, everything down to your utensils in your drawers. So it's really easy transition to move off campus. You don't have to worry about moving couches or furniture or anything like that. So, okay, so next question is kind of back to the curriculum. Jennifer wants to know how the Ross Vet curriculum is different compared to U.S. schools. Maybe Will, do you want to start off with that one?
Sure, Jennifer. So regarding our curriculum, I don't know. I've never been to other vet schools, so I don't know too much about other vet schools. But I do like our curriculum a lot with like the weekly quizzes. That really keep me on my toes. So I kind of makes me study. I have to study. So I don't like being too complacent or too lazy, personally. So, but I like how it's structured. Some of the classes, they may be different subjects, but they line up, so it makes it easier to study. I may be learning about bacteria, but we talk about it in pathology at the same time. So it's like I'm studying twice for this one subject. So it makes it a lot easier for me.
Awesome. How about you, Andrea?
Yeah, I agree with what Will's saying as far as like the curriculum blending together as you like move on. As far as it differing from other schools, I can't speak, too extensively on like what other schools are like, but I know that the weekly blocks is a different approach, and just the pace of things at Ross are a little faster, I guess, because we're trying to graduate in a shorter amount of time. It's definitely manageable though, like how I was saying, you're kind of learning about the same topics at the same time. And then as you start piecing together, going through the semesters, it all starts to blend and connect. And in seventh, it just all makes sense. So, yeah, I can't say how much different it is, but the weekly blocks as well, I also find them helpful. So we do our exams on all of our subjects in like every Monday or every Tuesday, depending on what semester you're in. And so the materials also cumulative to a certain percent. So it definitely keeps you on your toes and it keeps everything fresh so that you're not just cramming and, dumping like all the information out of your brain after the exam. So it's a different approach, I think, and really helpful.
Yeah,
Awesome.
all of vets
Right.
I work with who work with Ross vets, or even for clinicals when they met Ross vets, they'll think they're super prepared. I think the curriculum has a lot to do with it, how they prepare us for the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And the hands-on training starts right in semester one, clinical skills lab, the anatomy lab, you're suturing in your first week. So it's, I think that hands-on curriculum really does translate to how students do in clinicals, like you mentioned, and then on to their career in vet medicine. And as you mentioned, we had a couple questions come in about the block exams, so you covered all that. So we're all good there. And actually, before we go to the next question, we have a shot up right here. Andrea, do you want to speak to this shot that is up on the side here?
Yeah, so we have so many fun labs to work through. So our essential veterinary skills lab is part of every semester, and you get to just practice your technical skills as you're advancing through like your learning. And in this picture, I think we were listening to like different heart murmurs and like different arrhythmias, just like how to differentiate them. So that's a model dog, and it's got like a little speaker inside, and there's like a cassette there that has all the different rhythms and the abnormalities, and it also has like a normal rhythm. Yeah, we were just practicing on, catching those differences because some of them can be really subtle. And sometimes we have live animals that we work with for sure, but they don't all come to us abnormal. So, which is great. So we use the models, and it was really helpful in my learning because I know in undergrad, I think we listened to like a recording and you can kind of get it, but it's not the same as, using your stethoscope and getting the feel for like how you're actually approaching an animal and what you're listening for in that way.
Awesome. And Andrea, this next question is for you, but I think, Will, you can also answer it because it's got a two-part question. Stephanie is starting vet prep in the fall. Congratulations, Stephanie. We're excited to see you in the fall. But she wants to know, what is the hardest part about transitioning to the island? So maybe, Andrea, you could start about maybe the transition to vet prep and just the island in general. And then maybe, Will, you could speak to your experience in that transition.
So that's kind of a tough question for me because I can't really say there was like a super hard part about transitioning into vet prep. I feel like vet prep itself is kind of a transitioning time, if that makes sense, because you're preparing for the actual DVM curriculum, So that's the time to explore, your learning methods and kind of get to know the island. Like you have a little bit more time in your schedule to do those things. So I feel like it's a little more relaxed. There's a whole week prior to classes actually starting, whereas in orientation, and you get that in first semester as well. It just depends when you come in. But for vet prep, yeah, you have a week long orientation, and they show you around. They take you around the island. There's like some introductory like lectures on like what to expect, how vet prep is a little bit different from how first semester starts off. So it's just very well like laid out so that you're not feeling super stressed and alone in the process. Yeah.
Awesome. How about you, Will? How was the transition for you?
So going into it, since it was during COVID for me, so we were online, but the school accommodated us really well with the dorm setup, have people deliver groceries and food to us. But once we got out of that, I tried to give myself a structure of what I need to do, so I can follow something instead of getting distracted by everything else. So I just try to give myself a structure on what I need to do every day. When do I need to cook? When should I study and all that? So I don't forget to eat. So I don't forget to do other stuff. I can't just be studying only. So that's a big thing for me, to have some sort of structure.
Yeah, eating, sleeping, getting exercise, all those things help you actually retain that material. And I attended orientation a couple years ago, and Dr. Schreiber, who's part of our Student Success Center, mentioned I think about unpacking boxes in regards to studying. And because you've got all this content you have to learn. It's just like being in an apartment when you first move in, you're like, oh my gosh, I have so much to unpack. And she was like, just take one box at a time, unpack that, move to the next one. And I think just having that mentality, just like you're saying, Will, is really important to manage it, because otherwise you can just overwhelm yourself, I think, with it. And just so everyone's familiar too with vet prep. So vet prep is an opportunity for students. It's a decision possibility from the admissions committee. So after the interview is completed, an evaluation is submitted by the interviewer, and then the admissions committee can come back with acceptance, denial, or the vet prep program. So think of that as like a bridge program to vet school. So students are selected into vet prep. They take 1 semester of vet skill courses. If they pass the curriculum in vet prep, they are guaranteed a spot in first semester. So like Andrea said, it's a great opportunity. It's really the building blocks to prepare yourself to study and be successful in the program. And the courses that you take in vet prep will be extremely beneficial in first semester and beyond. So it's a great opportunity if you're selected into it. So. All right, so next question, we've got a lot of them coming in here. So let's see. So Jennifer wants to know, does it affect chances of employment if you graduate from a vet school outside of the US? I know that obviously you're still in vet school, but Andrea or Will, do you want to speak to anything on that in your regards to, finding a job once you graduate? Maybe Will, you can start off.
Yeah, I don't know if you affect where you come from. Even for Ross, I already met several Ross vets in my area in Southern California, and they all seem to be able to find job fine with that DBM degree. So I don't think you'll be having any issue with a degree DBM from Ross or anywhere really. So.
Sure. Andrea, I don't know if you had anything you want to add to that or anything at all.
No, I agree with Will, and I don't want to like jump to another topic or anything, but being part of the Veterinary Business Management Association club on campus, like we get a lot of speakers that come through, and they're always wanting Rossi grads, always. And so, yeah, it just feels, talking to those speakers, that there's definitely a lot of opportunity for us, and there's not really anything that's inhibiting us from, getting the jobs that we want.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you brought up the Business Association. And, a thing to remember is that we do have an AVMA accreditation. So again, that means there are no restrictions where you come back to practice. You take the same board exams that you would back in the US. So, Ross has been around for 40 years. This is actually our 40-year anniversary. So we're very well recognized. Like I said, we've got about 6,000 alums currently practicing. So, we work with alums in a lot of different events that we host around the country. And I've never heard anything about them having a hard time finding work. And also this time right now, vets are sorely needed across the country in all aspects of vet medicine, not just small or large, it's across the board. So, if you attend Ross, it's not going to limit your opportunities to get a job as, in that regard at all. So, but good question. Let's see. So we kind of touched on this a little bit, but I do have a student who wants to know of what kind of animals that you'll have exposure to on campus. Is it primarily exotics and marine life, or is it pretty broad in regards to the animals that you work with? Maybe Andrea, you could start off.
Yeah, so we have, I feel like, a very big variety for what you can work with as far as our labs go and the actual curriculum. We work with a more large animal, and then for our small animal, we do cats and dogs. So I'll elaborate on the large animal. We have sheep, and we have cows, we have horses. I feel like I don't think I'm missing anything there. Yeah. But for a small animal, it's cats and dogs, and depending on like certain rotations too, like when you get into 7th semester, you can also work with like monkeys. I know that's an option, but not everyone chooses that. There's also like an aquatic rotation, I believe. So, but that's like within the curriculum. I know Will has experience with some more animals outside of school, so maybe he can share.
Yeah, well, we also work with donkeys too. And then there's class where you get to work with sea turtles. I have a couple of friends in those classes, so that's super cool. And then sometimes I know they do have some externship through Ross. My friend just did one. He just came back from Africa, so he got to work with like wildebeest and elephants and lions. So it's super cool
Wow.
that he got to do that. So that's through Ross. It's like you do it during your break. He went there for like almost 2 weeks, and he showed me all these cool pictures of all the exotic animals he got to work with.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I've worked with students who have actually come back to the States to do externships in, different clinics. And that's kind of the nice thing about those 2-week breaks is a lot of those programs are 10 to 12 days. So you've got that time to go out and do those kinds of things. And so, yeah, but we have a large animal facility that houses about 550 animals that you get to work with, a small animal clinic on campus. So, you definitely get a lot of exposure to a lot of different animals there. So, um, let's see. So the next question is in regards to clinical experience. For each of you, how did you get clinical experience before vet school? Did you just reach out to vet clinics and apply, or how did you go through that process? Maybe Will, you could start off.
So for myself, I just went to a clinic where I took my dog at first, and I asked the doctor straight up if I can volunteer. I told them right away I want to be a vet, if I can just shadow and do anything. And that's how I got started, like during undergrad for a few months. And then after undergrad, I went to another clinic. I did the same thing. I asked if I can volunteer, and those vets, I love them to death. They told me, yeah, just come in and see what we can do. And I've been working with one of the vet for 5 years now. So I think it's just don't be afraid to ask for the opportunity if you're able to. Yeah, just don't be afraid to ask.
How about you, Andrea?
Yeah, I wanted to start working in the clinic like super fast. I think before I even finished undergrad, like I was like, I need to know what it's like. But I think I was too young at the time to actually be hired on there. So I started working at a pet store. I started working at PetSmart, and then they were connected to Banfield at that location, and they needed help with like translation sometimes. And so there were some Spanish speakers, and so I'd go and help them out. And so that was kind of like my way in, my little like nudge in there, like I can do this with you guys. So I think the next year after I graduated from Kansas State was when I was hired on, and I worked through Banfield for those 5 years, and I just kind of jumped around to different locations. So that kind of gave me different experience. Even though it was like the same methods, it was different teams and like different styles of practice, here and there, depending on the doctors.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think the thing to remember too is, a lot of DVMs are willing to work with students because they were in the same boat, at some point and they needed to get experience. And so they reached out and maybe worked as a kennel tech or a vet assistant or, cleaning cages and things like that just to get their foot in the door. So definitely, yeah, that's a great advice to really just, put your name out there and show that you're willing and eager to do what you can to get that experience. So we do require at least 150 hours of clinical experience. So anything from shadowing to working as a vet tech, vet assistant, et cetera, to showcase that you really understand the field that you're going to be getting into. So we got another question here from Bug. This is a good one. What is the environment like at Ross? What kind of culture do they foster? Maybe Andrea, would you like to start?
Yeah. So I love the community at Ross. It feels very like family like. All the students are just trying to help each other out. We all know, what we're dealing with on a day to day, and we just want to help each other out and see everyone succeed at the end of the day. So um, I really enjoy that part of the Ross community. And the professors too is another part of that. Like they're also very supportive, and I can talk about that later, but probably Will wants to share.
Yeah, I agree on how helpful everyone is, especially when I came in as a first semester. Even right now, the upper semesters, yeah, most always like willing to help you out, give you tips on how to study for stuff and like what to expect. So everyone is very friendly and welcoming. And we're all here. We're on the same boat. We all want to be a vet. So everyone, I don't know large animal that well, like horses. I don't know, but my friends or the uppers who know horses, they're always willing to help, and I can help with small animal stuff. So I think we're pretty tight knit family.
Yeah, I think those are great points. I mean, it is, everyone's moving kind of away from family in this new environment. You're all working together towards this, so it's a very collaborative environment among the students and the student body there. So working together is key because you're all in the same boat together. So that's a good point to bring up. All right, so I'll go to the next question here. I apologize for the sunlight. It's sunny here in Seattle today, so it's really shining in on me today. So I apologize for that. So another question is, are there ways to work on the island if needed, or is it hard to manage a part-time job while in the DVM program? Will, do you want to speak to that first?
Working on island, I don't know if you're able to work as a non-resident of the nation. So I'm not too sure about actually getting a job on the island, to be honest. And our program is pretty filled up. Your day is going to be filled up studying anyway. So I think, well, it depends on who you are. I think it could be pretty hard to find a job, work a job, and be a student at the same time.
How about you, Andrea? I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
Definitely. I think Will said it, perfectly. It's tricky if you really, really want to push for that. I think just because we're on like student visas, like there's something there that doesn't really allow us to, but there are like job opportunities within Ross. So like if you want to be a TA or you can, like tutor, like private tutor, there are like small opportunities like that. But it's not like a full-time job, and yeah, it's at the time, if you can find the time to do that.
Yeah,
I'm impressed.
TA, so.
Yeah, Will TAs.
Yeah, so it's manageable when you TA because they don't make you do it so many hours. You may only do 1 hour or 2 hour a week. So and they pay you through the school too. So it's like legal and everything.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I mean, honestly, your full-time job is vet school, and students can utilize federal financial aid to go towards their entire cost of attendance at Ross. So really, you don't want to spend your time trying to serve tables at night or anything like that. You got to focus on school. But working as a TA, research assistant, that's how some students can earn some extra money if they like to do that, or be a tutor. So, but really, your full-time job is going to be vet school. So, all right. So next question. Let's see. So is clinical experience required for admission? In case you didn't hear that from before, I'll just jump into that really quick. Yeah, we do require at least 150 hours to ensure that you understand what the field is like. You've gained experience in a vet clinic, worked with the DVM. You're also going to need 2 letters of recommendation, and one of those will come from a DVM. So we need to make sure that you, they can speak to your experience in the clinic, what your work ethic was like, things like that. So you would need at least 150 hours of clinical experience. Okay, so next question. Is it hard to maintain a good GPA in vet school? Andrea, maybe you want to start?
I feel like that varies, person to person, because there are definitely students here that, get 4.0s and they get on the dean's list, the president's list every semester. I am not one of those students. I'll be honest. But I do a lot of other things outside of like just our curriculum, as far as like clubs go and like being a Ross ambassador, an ambassadorship for like Banfield, for example. So I like to juggle what's on my plate, and so I know I could be a better maintaining a better GPA, but it just varies person to person. For sure, like the curriculum is manageable, and it's different though how it is in undergrad. I will say that, you hear people say like you can kind of cram for a test in undergrad and you'll be fine. That school's a whole nother game. Like you have to prepare, and like we talked about the weekly blocks earlier, it kind of helps you keep you in that zone. So
Absolutely. Will, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I agree with everything Andre's saying. I do think it's definitely manageable. It just a lot of it comes back to how you manage your time and how you study too. So as long as you feel confident and you can manage everything well, I think it's definitely manageable. But if you do need help, reach out for help. Like all the faculty, even maybe other students, but the faculty for sure, or your professor are willing to help you. They want you to succeed.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we have mentors on campus. We've got the Student Success Center that I mentioned earlier. If you need extra assistance in regards to how to prepare for an exam, those block exams that you take on a regular basis, how to study for those. The faculty there, they're there to teach. They do some research, and there's research opportunities for students, and some of the faculty get involved with that. But their main goal is to teach. So you really work closely with the faculty, and honestly, you become pretty close with them because the island's not that big, so you get to know them when you go out to eat, restaurants, shopping, things like that. So you become very close with the faculty that's there. And that's kind of a great segue kind of into the extracurriculars that are on campus. Andrea, you were mentioning, the other opportunities you're taking advantage of in regards to clubs and organizations. Do you want to maybe speak to that? And then Will, you can chime in on what you've done as well.
Yeah, so I love all the clubs on campus. There's so many. I wish I could do them all, but again, time. So some of my favorites are definitely DI Club. So the picture that's up right now was a wet lab for DI Club, and that's Diagnostic Imaging Club. So we were doing ultrasound, and so here we're looking at one of the Ross horses, and I think we were trying to get like imaging on superficial digital flexor tendons and just like how they appear, getting like the right angle, know what you're looking for type thing. So this is just one of the many wet labs that DI Club had. They have like cystocentesis, they have x-rays, they have echocardiograms. So a lot of fun stuff. That's just DI Club. Another one of my favorite clubs is Vita, and they do a lot of like spay neuters throughout the semester. So I think they have like 3 days a semester where at the shelter on island, they'll intake like a certain number of cats and dogs, and they'll do spay and neuter for like the community. So yeah, I think those are the ones that I try and be most involved in, but there's so many clubs, like I could go on forever.
Awesome. How about you, Will?
Yeah, we actually just had a club there. So all the clubs are there that you get to visit and sign up if you want to. But personally, we had like kennel companions where you get to hang out with the dogs that lives on campus basically. So that's really nice with distressing. And I did scuba club for some outdoor time for myself to get away from the studying sometimes. So that was really nice. I'm getting certified to be a scuba diver through them. And then there's a small ruminant club. So there's kind of clubs that specialize in different animals for you to get experience in, like avian club, small ruminant club, even the large animal horses too. So there's so many options for you. Like I never would work with goats, so I joined that to work with goats and sheep.
Yeah, there's definitely something for everybody.
Yeah, and I think that's the best part of it because, like the Vita Club, like you said, it's a great organization that's doing so much for the pet population, but you're actually getting so much experience with the spay and neuters yourself outside of what you're doing in the curriculum. And then, Will, to your point, joining the Scuba Club, you can't study 24/7. You're going to be studying a ton, but you need to get a break and get time away. And honestly, if you go down there and you're not certified, you should absolutely get certified because the scuba diving there is incredible. The visibility is awesome. So, so thank you for kind of discussing some of those clubs. Okay, so the next question here is, let's see, do you ever see applicants that are career changers and switch to pursue vet medicine? Yeah, so, I've been with the school for almost 9 years, so I've interviewed a lot of students in my time. And I will say that, yes, we have seen lots of students who have changed paths. They started on one path and life happened, and they couldn't kind of focus on the vet med path that they wanted to go on, or they thought they wanted to pursue a different one. So the admissions committee is not going to look differently upon those people. It just depends on what time of life that this makes the most sense for you. And so, obviously you need to finish the prereqs that are required, take the GRE, get your clinical hours, all those aspects. But age isn't going to be a factor, or career changing isn't going to be a factor. You can just discuss basically why this is the time that you want to do it. So, we have students that are coming right out of undergrad, 23, maybe 24 students. A lot of students are taking gap years now, especially with COVID. It was very challenging to get some of those experiences in clinical settings because a lot of places were closed and they weren't allowing that. So students maybe took a year or two off, and they're now getting that experience and then coming. So you may be mid to late 20s. And I've interviewed students in their 40s and 50s. So honestly, it's a very wide range of students that we get that come down to campus. So there's not, a restriction on that at all. So. Okay, so this is kind of a fun one outside of curriculum stuff. What is your favorite thing to do outside of campus? What activities are available on the islands? Well, maybe you could start off. Obviously, you talked about the scuba diving. What are some other things that you've done? And maybe you can speak to this huge fish that you're holding here on this boat.
So, yes, for outside of school, I love fishing. I'm a huge fisherman. As you can see, that's a big mahi-mahi I caught. I went on a charter boat here. So that was really fun. You're surrounded by ocean. If you're into that, you can always go fish. I even fish on the shore, like right here. I walk to the side, cast it out, and caught a fish. So it's really easy and fun and relaxing. So you can always do that. I go hiking a lot too. I've been to every single trail on the island. So there's a lot of outdoor time for you. If you enjoy outdoors, it's pretty easy to get here. And the beach from my house is 3 minutes away. I just walk down. I'm there. It's always nice.
That's fantastic. How about you, Andrea?
Yeah, the hikes here are unbeatable. Like I like to do a lot of hiking in California. Definitely not the same scenery, but here the hikes they're just so much fun. And in the picture that I had in the last one, they're like these really thick vines. And so I think on the volcano hike, which is a really popular one, there's like this Tarzan vine. Everyone calls it the Tarzan vine, and you have to swing on it. It's like ritual. You just have to do it if you're doing the volcano hike. That one wasn't the volcano hike, but it was a vine that looked swingable, so I went for it. And besides hiking, definitely beach days. You need to have some beach days in there. And then another thing that's like outside of campus, but still kind of technically related, is fostering. I love fostering like puppies, and kittens. So that's always a fun time. And the picture that's up right now, we definitely have some extracurriculars. So like if people want to do soccer, volleyball, there's frisbee. I did volleyball when I first started, but I didn't get to dip into any of the other sports. And I have to shout out my dog. That's my dog on the screen there. She's one of the biggest reasons I'm doing this. So she's back at home. I didn't bring her with me, but there are a lot of students that definitely bring their pets.
That's awesome. You got to showcase your dog. I mean, that's why, like I said, that's why you're here. So the next question is about financial aid and what the process is to apply for that. So as I mentioned before, we do have Title IV funding, meaning that students can apply for federal financial aid in the U.S. So you would basically apply for FAFSA loans like you would back here in the States, and that can go towards your entire cost of attendance. So your flights, your housing, your food, basically all of life in vet school. So again, you wouldn't really need to try and find work or other ways to bring in income because you've got that federal financial aid that you can utilize while you're in the program. So it would be the same process that you would be using, obviously if you were going to a state school that offered that kind of funding as well. So I did want to kind of sort of wrap things up a little bit here with our ambassadors, but again, we really appreciate everyone's time today. I wanted to ask both of you, we have students from around the country, maybe around the world, that are checking in today and that are at different stages of maybe applying to vet school or looking at different vet schools. So maybe Will, you could start off. Do you have any pieces of advice for students that are looking to apply to vet school or getting ready to prepare to apply, anything like that you'd like to share for them?
Well, getting prepared to apply, I think just have a positive mindset. I feel like you may get rejected, and that's okay. Everyone fails in life here and there. I got rejected 2 or 3 times before I got in. So I think it's perfectly okay, but keep a positive mindset, see what you need to work on, talk to the school, see what you need to do, and go from there. So after I got in, here's me super happy, the white coat ceremony. So after I got in, the school was super helpful with what I need to do, what I should do. So I would trust what the school is saying and trust yourself as well.
Fantastic. How about you, Andrea?
You definitely just have to believe in like the experiences you've had. Like if you're looking at applying to vet school, I'm guessing chances are you know check some of those boxes that are going to get you there. So you just have to trust in your experience and talk about it in your essay application, especially if you're applying to Ross. Like Philip mentioned, they're looking at different aspects. It's not all about grades. It's you know who you've worked with, research, just a number of things. So um, don't let some insecurity of how am I comparing to someone else stop you from applying. You just have to apply, and the rest will figure itself out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I just really want to thank you both. I know how busy you are, so we really appreciate your time and speaking to everyone that joined today. Again, if you want more information on our program, there's a URL at the top of the YouTube channel there that you can click on, and that'll give you some more information about Ross. Um, there, there's an admissions email that's on the screen that if anybody still has questions, they can reach out to that. My contact information is on our website. Again, my name is Philip Jerslow. So if you have any questions that you'd like to ask, part of the role of our team as well is we go around to different universities to do presentations for pre-vet clubs around the country. So if you are part of a pre-vet club, I mainly cover the West Coast, but we have some East Coast and Southeast colleagues as well as Canada. If you're up in Canada watching today, we'd be happy to come to your campus, do a presentation, really go into all the aspects that we have about our DVM program. But if you have any questions down the line, feel free to reach out. Again, Andrea and Will, thanks for your time. And thanks, everybody. Have a great afternoon.
All right. Thank you, guys.